Hello everybody, how is it going? So, today, we got more flagship event. We have a Red Purple Law versus Katakuri. This is, again, one of the few Red Purple Law matchups that we see. I feel like seeing more interesting matchups is pretty common in the flagship events, because they're, not the championships. They're still obviously a very, a meaningful tournament, I'd say. I don't know exactly how it works, I'm gonna be real, but I imagine it's like, this is almost like a regional, I would think, and you get like your invite to the championship, I think. I am not too sure. That's how it would be in like Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, Law actually playing a little film engine, starting off with Festa, very interesting. Katakuri looking like he has the standard Katakuri stuff. Law just swinging 8. Fair enough. Doesn't have access to the OPO5 cards just yet. So this is a list we'd be able to play in our format whenever the starter decks come out. But we obviously don't have. We have Radical being limited to 1, and I think that's really all that affects this deck. Unless you're gonna play like a Whitebeard engine, then Marco being at 1 kind of sucks. But yeah, we probably won't end up playing that engine in this version. Maybe just play an amount of like 5-drop Marco or something. But I did want to talk a little bit about this leader, because obviously it's Law. We love Law. But yeah, I feel like, at least taking a glimpse into the OPO5 meta, it's looking like Red-Green Law is still really, really strong. Which is no surprise. I still think he has like the best leader effect in game, and just how his deck functions is very, very good. But obviously, this leader effect is also really good. I think my biggest problem with it is just it's very taxing on your hand, and it's kind of hard to get around that. You do get the 3-drop Law in OPO5, which is a searcher, which is pretty nice, but that is also dependent on that card sticking around, and that doesn't always happen. I know Sakazuki is very prevalent in OPO5, and I swear that I've played a little bit of Red Purple Law in the sim, and that they just always answer the 3-drop Law. The 4-drop Lucci is crazy. But you're just talking a little bit more about the leader. I think it's almost like an iceberg situation where you're just taxing your hand so much to do things that you want to do that it's a bit rough to play. The OPO5 cards like the Kid Blocker do fix you kind of unramping a bit too fast, using your leader ability a bit too much early. But yeah, that does solve that problem, but it doesn't really solve the hand size situation of just playing 2 to 3 cards a turn and not really replacing any of them other than like your draws and your life. So that is, I would say, a major problem of the deck, and I don't think there is a good way of just like kind of solving it. Just because if you don't use your leader effect, then you're just not using your that's just not good. And yeah, obviously you can wait to use it till you curve out the Kid, or like I know a lot of people are playing Ace before OPO5 came out, and then start using your leader ability, which is fine, and then your hand size won't be as diminished by the time you're trying to go for game and stuff, or just defend late game. But kind of just how the deck works is that you pretty much just put your opponent on no cards, and you have your board usually. You can pretty efficiently answer top end. 10 drops are a bit harder, but if you're playing round table, it's very easy to answer still. But again, you're still spending 2 cards from your hand to get rid of it. So it comes down to these weird situations where it's like they don't have a board, or they have like 1 character, and you probably have like 2 to 3 cards in hand, and you're like, this shouldn't be scary, but it is. Because they aren't really going minus on any of their their hand should still be pretty plentiful, I would say. But yeah, I don't know. I just, coming from playing Red-Green Law to playing this deck, I do think it's fun. I just don't think it's as viable as Red-Green Law. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts. Sure, there could be definitely the spice coming in for how this deck should be played. I don't know if I'm going to be the one to figure it out. Probably not. I need to probably really think about it. But I mean, I've seen people play the film engine. I've seen people play the Whitebeard engine. And it looks like when OPO5 comes out, we're just going to be playing the new cards because they just work the best. And it just makes the most sense. But yeah, in the OPO4 format, I don't think he's going to be super great. He's going to have good matchups. He's very good into Rebecca. He's pretty good into yellow, too, just because you play blockers and you just kind of remove their board constantly. So, and also going wide against yellow is obviously always good. I'm not too sure about the other matchups. That's just kind of what I've played a bit. And I know the deck does pretty okay into, or pretty good into. But, yeah, I'm still just thinking I'm going to be playing Red-Green Law for OPO5 and OPO4 for the meantime. I'm very interested to see if Bandai will put out another list, ban list. I mean, we know the regional recently, Whitebeard is still doing very, very well. Zoro won the tournament, even though there was only one Zoro in top 32. And I think there was 6 Laws in top 32, so the red format is still kind of here with us in OPO4, but it's looking like an OPO5 that will stray away from that. And the 3 decks that seem to be very good are Ano, Purple Luffy, and Sakazuki. And I still am seeing a lot of Red-Green Law, so that's what it's looking like so far. I imagine Zoro will still be around in some sense, but doesn't seem, as prevalent. But, yeah, we haven't been talking about the match very much. I'm very sorry about that. Just wanted to talk about this leader and I guess the state of the game coming up and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to be a bit until we get OPO5, so for now, we can just worry about OPO4. And, yeah, honestly, besides, there being a ton of Whitebeards and stuff in the last tournament, I imagine that the format will evolve and we'll kind of see less and less as people get, a bit better at Rebecca, and Rebecca does do very well into all the red decks. So I feel like it'll almost become like a rock, paper, scissors, where you play red, you lose to Rebecca, Rebecca loses to yellow, and yellow, yeah, I mean, red usually does well in the yellow. Whitebeard does well in the yellow, Law does well, like really good in the yellow, and I think Zoro still does fine in the yellow. It just kind of is trigger dependent, but I feel like that is what the format will kind of resolve itself in. Obviously, there is kind of like the wild cards in like green, purple, Dofi, and I think that deck is super strong, and I think I need to play it more myself just to see how good it is, because I just kind of assumed it wouldn't be that great into yellow, but I think you can win that matchup just because of the amount of blockers you play, and also you can kind of out 10 drop them if you see more than them. The only problem is you can't search your 10 drop and they can, so it makes it a little bit hard. But yeah, we'll definitely see where the format goes. I'm excited for whenever there's more tournaments for OPO4, and I also love watching OPO5 content, and I hope we get a flagship or a championship sometime soon, just so I can have some OPO5 games to go over, because I think that format's very interesting, and seeing it kind of develop. Okay, jumping back in the match. Law has a full board at this point. Again, he's executing his game plan pretty well, keeping yellow or Katakuri pretty much off all of his board. That's what you want to do. Looks like he's playing in 7-drop. Yeah, plays a 7-drop. I imagine Law will probably take this life because we have 3 bodies or 3 attackers on board. So we do have the ability to be very aggressive. And it doesn't seem like yellow or Katakuri has many counters in hand, if at all. I think they have 1 2K. So that's kind of crazy. I am interested what he decides to do. If I can, I think I almost always just trash my life off this effect. I don't think it's worth giving them a life. He does only have 4 cards in hand, so he probably does want to see his life, but you need to be aggressive, and it hits later game. It's going to be harder to answer the 10 drops and the 8 drops. And we can see in his hand he doesn't really have a way to answer the 7-drop Linlin. He doesn't have Gamma Knife yet, which is like the easy answer to like 8K bodies. He probably is playing Round Table, but it's not searchable, so yeah, very interesting. He does decide to give yellow the life. I think you definitely just trash your life there. He does have a blocker in hand, so yeah, I mean, I feel like he definitely could have pretty safely trashed that life. So interesting choice. He's only on 5 Dawn right now. That's pretty normal for Red Purple Law. You pretty much want to use your leader ability as much as you can without hindering yourself. But I imagine we just... Okay, tapping 4. What are we doing? Playing a Jean Bart. Ramping a 1. And then we're just kind of probably swing a bunch of 5Ks. Sounds good. He can leader effect into like the blocker law. I imagine that's the play. And just bottom deck the pudding. This one, Dawn. Yeah, probably just attack for 6 with something. Yeah. He's going to go 6 with the Shachi and Penguin. Yellow will probably just take unless they want to use their 1 counter. And he does. No trigger. That feels rare, honestly. Seeing a no trigger against yellow. I feel like they've gotten so many good trigger effects. And they're also just good cards outside of being, good trigger effects. Yeah, swinging 5. Katakuri counters, swinging 5 again. Looks like he's thinking about countering this one as well. And he does. So now Law will probably get this last 5k through. Yep. Let's see if there's a trigger. Yes, there is. Gets a Parasparrow. Chucking a Thunderbolt. So still has 1 Thunderbolt to answer a blocker, whether he wants to do that or not. Law using Leader Effect. Probably going to sack off the Otama for his blocker Law. Yep. And then just passing it over to Katakuri. So this is pretty much the end of the game. Yellow either has to try to go for a game here or probably die next turn. I don't think, yeah, they do have an 8-drop, so maybe they could put Parasparrow in their life, but I don't know how good that sounds. They have the Thunderbolt, so if they want to commit for game, they can do it. Law does have a decent amount of counter for only having 3 cards in hand, so definitely couldn't mess up the numbers if he decided to go for game. Alternatively, he could just try to clear the board. Has 3 swings. It's all 5k bodies, so the Lin will almost definitely clear 1. If you just go 5 at the other 2, one of them might survive. So we'll see what he decides to do here. I think he has to go for board. Maybe not. I don't know. This spot is really hard for yellow. Looking like he's holding 1 down. Oh, puts it back. What's he gonna do with it? Okay, goes 1 Dawn on Parasparrow. Attacks for 6 at something. Looks like he pointed at the board, and yeah. Alright, going for board. I imagine, yeah, he will defend this. So the next 2 swings, as long as he goes like 7 on Leader and 8 on Lin, those will clear 2 bodies. And then he could play, I don't know, he's at 10 Dawn, so he'd be at 8, so he still can play an 8-drop. So yeah, this seems like a good line to kind of play it safe. Goes 7 at, looks like the film Law again, looks at his opponent's life, puts it on the bottom, and that Law will definitely go. So even with clearing board, Law still will have 3 bodies plus his Leader, which is still going to be scary for yellow, honestly. They again only have 1 2k in hand, and to be fair, that last life could be something important. If they do elect to play the 8-drop and like put Parasparrow in life, then they are a bit safer. Goes 8 at the Shachi and Penguin. That will also go. Yeah, has 8 Dawn left. I assume it's just play 8-drop. Give yourself another life. Yep. Alright, so can he survive this turn? Has 1 2k counter in hand. Has to deal with 3 swings, or 4 swings, my bad, if Law swings with the blocker Law, which if he's going for game, obviously he will. And he definitely can go for game, depending on what that last life is. So, a little bit scary, honestly, because you could just lose a game off of like a good trigger, which always sucks. Yeah, it looks like he has 5 Dawn to work with. So you'd have like 2 7s and a 6 if he wants to allocate like that. Could just go 5 immediately. Starts off with a 7, going at life. Yellow has to take this. Yep. And he will use the Parasparrow, just discarding one of his non-counter cards. Chucks the Thunderbolt. I feel like this game is so reliant on what this last life is. Very scary. imagine he'd just swing a 5 here, or goes the second 7. Alright, goes the second 7,000. Yellow will take again, and gets a veggie. So, yep. That's the yellow classic right there. To be fair, I don't even think he had to use that. Because, yeah, no, that didn't matter. Wait, hold on. If he just took the veggie to hand, Law would just have 2 more 5k swings. But if he had a rush Zoro, obviously, that's a little bit scary. To be fair, even if he had a rush Zoro now, it would have been the same thing. Okay, so that trigger actually didn't matter. I take it all back. Yellow just had this. Yeah, Law just thinking about it. I mean, you swing 5, he counters, and then you probably just leave the blocker up. No, wait, no, he did veggie to leader. So I guess it mattered a little bit. Yeah, he's probably just gonna pass now, because swinging 6k per game is honestly like kind of scary. I feel like if he started with the 5ks earlier, maybe it would have been a bit more doable, because he'd swing 5, probably get countered, then he could go 5 again, and that would be free. And 5 again, then he'd hit the veggie, but you'd still have Dawn to work with. Nah, it probably wouldn't have mattered. I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, it's not looking good for Law. I think he just has to pass with the blocker Law active, and hopefully he gets enough counter with the 2 life he has to survive. I don't even think it's worth Dawn minusing 3 to play like the Beppo. Like, maybe. I don't know. It does represent another attacker that his opponent can't interact with if he does that, so. Oh, he's committing. Goes 6 at life and is met with a counter. Uses leader. Minuses 3. Plays the Beppo. Ramps 1. And passes. That's looking like curtains. Looking like that's the game. Yeah, I think all of Yellow's swings are just going to be too big. He can maybe get out of like a Parasparrow swing, but there's still 2 8Ks coming in, and then leader can obviously go big. He can also just go big on Parasparrow, unless he just randomly decides to go for board, but I doubt he'd do that. Okay, goes 5, looking like 5 at life. So now this Parasparrow just has to swing for 7. Oh, no, goes 5 again. Okay, oh, he is a 10 drop. Okay. I didn't even see that he drew that. Okay, so he's just going for game with the 10 drop. I mean, you counter out of this, right? You can like take the life. Okay, he took the life. I don't think it's super mad at though, because now he just 10 drops, and then has to deal with 2 8Ks, and I don't think he has enough. So yeah, that is the game. Kind of a rough spot for your red purple Law. The end of the game is always kind of stressful, but yeah, thank you guys for watching.